Officer Lloyd, you have a letter sent to you all the way from New South Wales. Alas, it must be from my dear friend Charles. Hurry now, I've been waiting a long time for this. It was on a cold morning in Norwich, England, that Officer Harry Lloyd was delivered a special letter with a bright red emblem. He hurried to his desk, putting aside his cup of tea to open it. He was hoping for news from his companion Charles Gibson, a fellow colonial officer who had been sent on duty to New South Wales, Australia. But when Officer Lloyd opened the letter, he found it was from another officer that ranked under him. Sir Harry Lloyd, I write to inform you of news in New South Wales under Officer Gibson's authority. When he first arrived here, he was designated a high position in the city of Wagga, where he received a lot of attention and respect from the people for his praiseworthy qualities as a leader. His wife, Elizabeth Gibson, had also taken on a role of speaking and advising the women in the area and received much love and recognition. But it was when strange incidents began happening in Wagga that the townspeople became ridden by fear. Here by the Murrumbidgee River lives the indigenous tribes of Wiradjuri. I remember it was the evening of April 12th, 1876, that some of their folk had come to Officer Gibson with a request. Officer Gibson, you must help us overcome this calamity that has fallen upon our people, or we'll be doomed. Calamity? I don't understand. What's the issue? The dreadful discoveries have begun once again, Officer Gibson. There is something that lurks in these forests of Wagga. Our people have been suffering because of it. It's a creature, a hideous wolf-like beast. It walks on its limbs as if man, but its heart knows no mercy. It is as cold as stone. Wolf-like beast? This is nothing but ridiculous. There are many kinds of beasts that live in the forest. Perhaps you're mistaking one for another, a large bear at best. No, officer, this is not the first time we've encountered it. There were many more of its kind before. They ravaged our village, preying on our families, killing us to satisfy its hunger. Our fathers had captured the beast. We saw it with our own eyes. Some of us had lost our lives in the process, but we were able to overpower it, and we got rid of them. So then, what's the problem? If you've settled the matter yourselves, why do you come to me? Because it has returned. We can't continue to sacrifice our young men. Here, look at him. He's given up his limb to this beast. And there are many more. Some have even gone missing, never to be seen again. We fear for our women and can't sleep at night. How long can this go on? If there is anyone who can save us, it's you. When Officer Charles looked into the matter and saw the agonizing troubles the indigenous people were going through, he took the decision to hunt this vicious beast himself. He traveled to the area by the Murrumbidgee River and settled there with his wife among the tribal folk, where he went out to the forest to search for this creature. It wasn't long before he realized the horrifying reality of the matter. There was indeed something vicious lurking in the depths of the forest. And it was after months of preparation and strategy that he was able to successfully capture the beast. But what seemed to be the end of hard times proved to be the beginning of more dreadful times to come. It was about a month afterwards that Officer Gibson and his wife went missing. And it has been 5 years since their disappearance. And over this time, I've sent many officers who have failed to return with any good news. So I write to you as my last hope that you might be able to bring the death of your friend to justice. Officer George Wilson, Wagga, Station 405. When Officer Lloyd read the letter, he was deeply grieved to learn perhaps his companion was no more. Missing for 5 years? He immediately arranged a trip to Australia. It wasn't an easy journey, but Officer Lloyd was determined to get to the bottom of this. He bid farewell to his family and boarded the ship on a 4-month journey. When Officer Harry Lloyd arrived to New South Wales, he was greeted by Officer George Wilson, who arranged a stay for him at the best inn in town. After a few days' rest, I can take you to Officer Gibson's home. The townsfolk has left it just the way it was since the tragic happening. No, you must take me there first thing tomorrow morning. I'd like to speak with the indigenous people here. So upon Officer Lloyd's insistence, Officer Wilson took him to the village where he was able to speak with the head of the Wiradjuri tribe. Officer Gibson was a hero to us. He was the man who trapped that vicious beast and brought back its head like the fiercest of warriors. It is truly tragic what has happened to such a great man. We fear he fell victim to another one of these wicked beasts. It was after his disappearance that we found his home in a horrible condition, and it's since then that these creature attacks have only increased. We continue to lose our people, our animals. We have lost hope of defeating this wicked thing. We know nothing now but to hide ourselves from it. How and when do these creatures attack? It preys in the darkness of the night. It shreds flesh with its sharp fangs. It tears meat with its long claws. It's something we dare not even imagine. Remembering the conditions in which we found our loved ones only brings nightmares. I hear you people have taken their lives before. Where will I find this creature? I'll hunt it myself. Yes, our fathers had. There is only one thing that can kill the beast. The man called one of the young men who brought forward a spear. The life of the beast can be taken with this metal, a silver spear. You will need this, officer. That's all right. I can manage myself. After speaking with the indigenous, Officer Lloyd decided to venture out into these forests and discover the truth of the matter himself. However, when he sought guidance from the people, no one was ready to help him explore the area. Everyone was fearful of what lurked in the forest. But that was not to deter Officer Lloyd. These indigenous folk were unarmed, equipped with these simple bows and arrows. While Officer Lloyd had his trusty rifle, he didn't need to fear any wild animal out here. And more so because he had taken his own precautions, making his own silver bullets. He would hunt down this creature if need be, and he would find out what happened to his companion. So the next evening, right before sunset, while there was still light in the skies, Officer Lloyd lit his lantern, took his hunting gear, and headed out. He had been walking for some time, and the jungle seemed to be quiet. He had heard a few sudden noises, but turned only to see a deer or a rabbit hopping by. As he walked nearing the Murrumbidgee River, he suddenly stooped low behind the bushes, spotting a figure up ahead. However, he was bewildered to see it was a young child. Officer Lloyd stood up, furrowing his brows. He watched the boy walking all on his own, seemingly collecting small berries from the bushes. "Hey, little boy, how did you get here?" he said. But just as the boy caught sight of him, he took off in seconds. "Don't run off, you'll get lost out here." Officer Lloyd followed the boy, calling out to him, but the child kept running deeper and deeper into the forest. It was getting dark, and Officer Lloyd feared to lose the child in this wilderness. As he followed him, he suddenly stopped, seeing the boy climb into a dark cave. He immediately followed after him with his lantern, and finally caught hold of him. Kneeling down, Officer Lloyd looked at the boy, his face covered in dirt, twigs and leaves in his golden blonde hair. "Where do you think you're going, fella?" The boy tried pulling loose of Lloyd's grip when he softly let the child go. "Don't be afraid of me. I'm just a friend. Where's your mom and dad?" Officer Lloyd asked, holding up the lantern. Suddenly, he heard a low grunting noise from the corner of the cave. the sound of tearing flesh. From the shadows, he could barely make out something shift as it groaned. Officer Lloyd immediately pulled the boy behind him and aimed at the figure. He couldn't see much, but he could tell. It was none other than the beast himself, feasting on his prey. Officer Lloyd loaded his silver bullet and fired at the figure twice. All of a sudden, the boy yelled out, tugging onto Officer Lloyd's arm, throwing off his aim. "What are you doing? Stop! No!" "What are you doing, mister? Let go, and run from here. I'll be right out." "No," the boy yelled. But just as the child was about to run into the shadows, Officer Lloyd gripped onto him and held him tight. The beast groaned in pain as he lay on the ground. In the dark cave room, a coarse voice spoke out. Take him with you." As Officer Lloyd held up his lantern, he was horrified by what he saw. It was about 6 years ago when Officer Charles Gibson arrived to Australia with his wife. The townspeople received them with respect and honor. He tried to fulfill his duties and responsibilities towards the people in all fairness, and not only did the townspeople seem to be happy, but so was Charles and his wife when they learned they were soon to become parents. It was at a time like this that Charles was requested to hunt down a vicious beast that was wreaking havoc in the villages around here. So in order to capture and end this beast once and for all, Charles moved with his family to the village, where eventually he successfully hunted it down. However, what he didn't expect was the consequences he would have to suffer because of it. Whilst hunting this beast, Charles had gotten injured and bitten. His blood had become contaminated with an infection, and it wasn't before long that he realized he himself was becoming into something wicked and vicious like that of which he hunted down. He developed a rogue nature, hunger for flesh. Charles was horrified by these changes. Day by day, he began to lose control over this newly acquired physical nature. He feared to hurt his family and his people, and soon enough that fear of his came true when his wife fell victim to his own hands. He knew if he remained among the people, they would realize what had happened to him and take his life. So Charles took his young baby boy and ran out into the woods, fearing that the boy wouldn't be spared by these townsfolk if they found out he was the son of a beast. Hopelessly, the father and son had been hiding out for years. Trying to survive, Charles went to town every night, where he preyed on the townsfolk, bringing back his meal. The villagers had been able to kill the beast before, villagers who had become infected, but they were not able to come anywhere near Charles, as Charles was no ordinary man. He was a military officer. He knew how to get things done. This was something he had to do, not only to content himself, but to keep his son safe from his own beastly nature, hoping the boy would not have the fate his wife had suffered because of him. Take him with you." The last words of the beast before its lifeless hands fell motionless to the ground. "Charles? Daddy, no, I don't want to leave you." Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.